We were telling you a little bit about Apple right now and where it stands, about 40% from its highs. But some are saying this might be bigger than China, might be bigger than declining sales. It might be missing the innovation opportunity here or taking that innovation for granted as others and more prominent competitors have begun to make inroads in Asia. Galaxy comes to mind with the Samsung-related phones. What's going on here? And could Apple actually be in danger of becoming the next Eastman Kodak, that it just sort of frittered away a dominance that juggernaut did when it came to photography back in the 70s and early 80s. That was then. What could happen now to Fresco News founder John Meyer, who says that Apple will see a year or two of declines from where we are now. Is that so? Why do you have that view?
Correct. I've been pointing this out for months, it seems now, and really where I stand is this really comes down to about two or three major forces. First is I think Apple has dramatically underestimated the forces in China from a cultural standpoint and from a tech capability standpoint. They've clearly lost the game to companies like Huawei on mobile. Second, I think Apple has continued to seriously lag behind in new innovation across new sectors, and the one I'll point out is AI. This is at this point my biggest worry for Apple, and it stretches beyond Apple. It stretches to America as a whole, because my biggest worry over the next few years is that because of just how big Apple is, it's clear that they've not invested enough in AI. It's clear that they've already been losing the game in AI, and it's also clear that this is where tech is going. And if
by the
you
way,
want to talk
that is an
about
area where anyone in the Samsung universe with virtual reality, which Apple poo-pooed in the beginning, have enormous leads now, to say nothing of Google and Android operating systems, where this is all the rage.
Correct. And, the other thing here is there's really no coming back. If America loses the AI game, in part due to Apple's lack of innovation in what's coming next, I mean, there is really no coming back. And I hate to be in a position where I've literally I've grown up the biggest fan of Apple, in large part due to my late father raising me on early Macintoshes. But I hate to be in this position where now I'm criticizing Apple for not innovating as much as their competitors, such as Google. And then beyond that, there's also the more supplementary issues, such as the price hikes in iPhones. So there's a slew of problems here at a much higher level, I think, with Apple, and it really comes down to, I think, underestimating the speed of innovation across other competitors in the U.S., as well as the speed of just how quickly things change in China. And if you go to China now, I mean, virtually no one you see uses an iPhone. And as Tim Cook pointed out in his interview yesterday, that's what they are reporting. They're reporting decreases across really everything in China, including
but he
the number of people
talk
in stores.
In that CNBC interview, I think he dismissed the talk that this was a direct result of wrath from the Chinese taking it out on an American company because of the trade war, even though you wonder if some of that might be going on, right? If you've heard nothing but American bad-mouthing of your country, would you be inclined to buy a prominent product from a prominent American company that is not part of your country? I'm just curious.
It is a solid point. However, what I would say is that these trends have been going on for far longer than the trade war. Apple has been losing in China for a very long time, and I think they even with acknowledging issues in China with Apple sales, I think it's still been a dramatic underestimate of where these trends are going, and when combined with the fact that Apple has just been so weak in the AI space, it makes me very, very worried around the future of Apple, especially because there's also no indication on exactly what is coming next from a consumer level at Apple, other than very, very soft conversation and rumors around Apple entering the augmented reality space with some sort of glasses.
I will say, even when it comes to more pedantic issues like just the camera. Now, I happen to have an Apple iPhone as well as a Galaxy phone, and I I find the camera on the Galaxy phone is superior, and a lot of the features to be dramatically superior. Now, this is my opinion. I still use both phones, don't get me wrong, but I think that Apple has been sitting on a lead or sitting on this cushion where they could charge more for a product and people would have the Pavlovian response to just buy it. They're not doing that anymore.
Sure, and the other thing to point out is I keep hearing two different reactions over the last 24 hours on business news. First is that Apple has some mysterious trick up their sleeves with quote-unquote services, and by services, people refer to iCloud, Apple Music, etc. The reason why I don't think that's going to drive meaningful revenue at this point is because to have increase in revenue from services, you have to have increase in sales for the iPhone, because there's not a person I know that is paying for Apple services such as the Apple Music and does not have an iPhone. So I see those two as pretty parallel in terms of where they're going, whether that's up or down. And then the other thing is this talk of 5G being a driver. I don't agree with that being a meaningful driver either for Apple, because the difference between 5G and what's available now for an average consumer, I mean, there's no one I know that's complaining about LTE speeds. And so I don't believe that will be a significant driver either in the next 2 to 3 years for Apple, because it doesn't really matter much to the consumer.
Well, I think once they see the difference, some might feel differently, but you're right. No, we don't know yet. And a lot of them may be looking at it, might not be willing to make the commitment just the same. John, thank you very, very much. Very, very good having you. Very interesting read.